Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase podcast. Today we have with us Corinna Stringer. Corinna is a business alignment and confidence coach, and she's also an author. She wrote Wings of Destiny: How Learning to Let Go Can Release your inner power and be the key to your success. Welcome to the show, Corinna. I'm so glad you joined us, and she's joining us from the UK, another person from around the world. So exciting.
Thank you, Jill. Lovely to be here.
So tell us your story. How did you get started? Why did you decide to take this path?
So originally I came from a career in travel, and I decided that I didn't want to work for somebody else, but I wanted to have the freedom to do what I wanted, and I loved to travel. So I started my own cleaning company, and I learned a lot about business, and I loved the business side of it. Even the boring stuff, even the accounting and the spreadsheets, and I just loved everything about business. So I decided then to become a business coach. Now, the problem is everyone is a business coach, and I needed to find my own niche in the marketplace. And when I was working with my clients, I realized there was a common thing that people will learn so many things, but they won't implement them. And the reason they don't implement them a lot of the time is because they don't believe that they can do it. And I found that people have fears and they have doubts, and a lot of people fear success even. What's going to happen when I get successful? Who am I going to have to leave behind? What am I going to have to leave behind? My life is going to change. And realizing that, when we're pushing ourselves forward, when we're pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, it's important to be okay with those feelings that come up for you. And I help my clients now, rather than all the business strategy, it's more about the mindset. It's more about being okay with those changes and letting go of the past.
That's a great niche to be in. I love that so much. And we have such a similar background. I started a cleaning business when I was in college also.
Oh, wow.
And eventually I gave it to a friend of mine who really she needed something to do. And I just was one of those things that I did. But I get what you're saying about all the mechanics of it, but it's really until you accept it and you believe it on a visceral level rather than just on an intellectual level that things can happen for you. And I think a lot of people miss that. And they take all these coaching programs and they're so disappointed because it's like they just don't work. But people also forget that everybody starts at the beginning. You're not going to be really good at something the first time you do it. You just gotta keep doing it.
Definitely. And just keep, implementing what you know. And what a lot of people do, they learn something and they try and teach it in the same way that they learnt it, rather than implementing it themselves and finding their own way of doing things. And that's what I did when I was a business coach. I learned things. I wanted to teach other people. I was super excited. I wanted to teach other people this stuff that I'd learned, but I hadn't really implemented it myself. And yet it just all comes down to mindset and, growing with that process.
Yeah, and leaving space for yourself to fail a little bit.
Yes,
it's not everything is not going to be in a straight line. You're going to have successes and you're going to have setbacks, and it's not that you're failing so much as you're learning a way that you don't want to do it. And taking the things that you learn from other people and synthesizing them through your own personality and the other things that you've learned, because they haven't been on the same journey you've been on. They're not in the same spot you're at, even though they're giving you more information. So you can grow and you can make it a unique piece. And I think I know when I interview all these life, health, and transformational coaches, I get like people are doing the same thing. I mean, they're in the same niche, but nobody does exactly the same thing. And the people that they're calling to, they're totally different people. It's so amazing how everybody can be a snowflake. I know that's not like the thing that you want to be called, but we're all unique. We're all different and we're all beautiful. And it's so exciting when people really grasp that concept.
we are definitely. And we all have a unique fingerprint and we can all put our own unique stamp on the world. And a lot of people say to me, well, other people are doing these things and, why should I stand out? And I said, because they're not you. They've not lived the life that you've lived. They've not had the experiences of you that you've had. You may have learned the same strategies, but nobody can put a unique stamp on the world like you can.
Yeah, and there's so many different modalities out there for helping people, and new ones come up all the time, and they're just tweaks on other things, and they work. And you need to leave space for your clients to be able to experiment with what you're giving them, and be excited to watch what happens when they put their unique twist on the things that you show them, because that's exciting too.
It is. It is really exciting to watch your clients grow and not just grow in their business, but grow personally as well.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just fantastic.
I was listening to someone today who was talking about the world as this cauldron, and the cauldron is all of our energies. And it was in relation to, the terrible things that are going on and feeling guilty about, not doing anything about it. But her point was that by just enjoying our lives, raising the vibration of our own situation, we can make a difference in the overall energy in the pie. Because the more people that are stepping into their power and embracing the idea that, you were born with a unique mission, and the world needs that. It needs that energy. And it's up to you to take responsibility for getting out there and delivering it, being you. And it used to be you were chastised for being selfish or thinking about yourself first, but I'm really in the mode of definitely think about yourself first. Figure out who you are. Allow yourself to change, allow yourself to grow, and the whole world will benefit from it.
I totally agree. It's not selfish when you're you're raising your own vibration, like you said, and if everybody does that, because there are some terrible things happening in the world, but we can't change that. The only thing we can change is ourselves and the way that we think about things and our actions that we take. So I completely agree with you. It's so important that we take care of ourselves.
Yeah. And hiring a coach is a great way to get some tools to actually implement the strategies that you already have, and to really to have somebody help you pull out of yourself your uniqueness, because sometimes you can't see what other people can see in you. And having a coach come along and say, well, have you thought about this? And it might be something that you're just like, oh no, that never crossed my mind.
Yes, I've had clients like that before. And they, they're trying to do so many different things. And when we niche it down to what they really love and really enjoy, they've gone off and, won awards, and they've been invited to, events across the other side of the world. And it's been lovely to see that and see them really shine in what they actually enjoy doing. Because I think when you are an entrepreneur, you work for yourself, you need to enjoy what you're doing, because, you want to help people, you want to inspire other people, and really understanding what you want to do and what you enjoy doing is the most important thing, first and foremost.
I call that finding your mission. You know,
100%.
everybody talks about their niche, but it doesn't mean anything. A mission means something. It's something that you're doing because you're charged with it. It's, whether you get paid for it or not, it's something that you feel inspired to accomplish. And once you put something like that out into the universe, it, things come together for you in amazing ways. And out of the blue, you'll find things that'll pop up that are just like, oh, that's helpful. Or you get information that you weren't even looking for, that it comes along and it's like, oh, I needed that. And you can tack it on in there. It's just, having a mission is like the thing.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And knowing where you are heading towards. And I found that the biggest thing that a lot of people don't do is rewarding themselves along the way. To having those smaller goals, you've got that big shiny goal out in the future. You're on that mission, but we overlook all the successes we have along the way, and just stopping in that moment and realizing how far you've come and what you've achieved. Really celebrate it and really feel it within you before moving on to the next thing. And I found that a lot of coaches and consultants, they will celebrate other people's successes, but they won't necessarily, celebrate their own successes.
I think in doing that, it helps people recognize that it's already happening. Sometimes when we set goals or we're thinking about manifesting something, you have this vision of how something's going to be or look, or the experience that you're going to have. And a really good vision is you can just like step into it and feel it, like
Yes.
you're already there. And to me, everything exists all the time, all around us. It's already there. It's just a matter of us focusing on it and bringing it into the the physical realm so we can actually see it or feel it. But it's already there. It's
Yeah.
just up to us. And when you're talking about celebrating those milestones along the way, it's the process of recognizing it's coming into view. You can see a little bit. Maybe you only see like the corner of the thing that you're bringing into view, but it's that corner, and I caught a glimpse of it. It's so exciting. And so then it allows the other corner to come into view. And then you recognize that. And then pretty soon the whole picture is visible. And you're like, I did it.
Yeah, yeah. It's that saying, isn't it? You can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can always connect them looking back, and you see how far you've come and what you've achieved. And like you said, then those small parts of the picture become the bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah. It's like putting a puzzle together. You don't get the whole picture, you just get one piece at a time. But the more pieces that you get in there, the more that you can start to see the picture coming together. And
Yes.
it might not be exactly how you painted it in your mind, but the more clear that you paint it in your mind, the better the chances that it's going to show up the way that you painted that picture.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And sometimes it's a bit scary when you tip that puzzle out on the floor and you think, oh God, all these pieces, I need to put them together. But then that's where a coach comes into it. They help you through the process, and it saves you that time. It saves you the money on, trying to figure it out yourself. They've already walked that journey, and they can help you achieve your goals quicker.
I'm a big puzzle person. I love putting puzzles together. And the first thing you do is you turn all the pieces over, you dump it out, and then you turn all the pieces over, and then you sort the pieces into colors and similar patterns and stuff. And a coach who comes alongside you and helps you first turn all the pieces over and flatten them all out so you can see what you got going on, and then push the pieces into categories so that you can actually construct the puzzle much quicker that way. And if you're working with somebody that's really good at this, I have a friend she loves puzzles too, and we sat down and put 1,000-piece puzzle together in 2 hours. But we both knew what we were doing, and we were working together. If one of us had tried to do this or the other by ourselves, it had taken us days.
Yeah.
And it's just so much faster when you do it in community, and you have somebody else that is better than you at some of the pieces and can help you say, oh, from my experience, let's do it this way. Let's try it this way, and we'll see what the result is, and then we can work from there. So yeah. So do you do groups? Do you do one-on-one? How does that look?
So I do one-on-one, because sometimes things come up for my clients that, they don't want to share within a group. However, I do have a community on Facebook, and I am starting to build a course, so people can, go through the course by themselves, and then there's weekly check-ins as a group, and then they have a one-to-one session with me at the end of it as well. So if anything comes up for them and it's holding them back, then we can work through that on a one-to-one basis as well. But primarily I work one-to-one.
And what kinds of people would think about reaching out to you? Who are your ideal clients?
So my ideal client is anybody who has done other courses before and not got the results that they wanted to get, and they feel that there is something holding them back. I get a lot of people that come to me that want to put themselves out there, either be on social media or they want to get more exposure in main media. They want to build their brand and really be unique in what they do. But they don't know how to put themselves out there. And also I do branding, but I do more of the psychology around branding. Like, why do people do what they do? The psychology behind the colors that they use, the psychology behind the fonts that they use, and work with their values. What do they really value? And a lot of people, they have values, and they'll put them in a certain order, and they'll say, I mean, for myself, when I started out, one of my values is freedom, but I always put that to the bottom of the list because I didn't feel like I deserved to have the freedom, the money that I was creating. And I just, it was always that thing, you've got to work hard to have money, and you shouldn't have too much money. You shouldn't be too greedy. So I had all these, negative thoughts in the back of my mind, which was stopping me from having the freedom. But when I got past all those limiting beliefs, then things started to happen for me. I started to speak worldwide and have the travel lifestyle that I was wanted to, and I was doing it for myself. I wasn't working for somebody else. So it's really important to know your values and have them in the right order and know what you're working towards.
Yeah, it really is. And there's an old biblical saying, for a lack of vision, my people perished. And the values really do help you shape your vision. And if you don't know what your values are, then it's really hard to have a vision that's going to fit in alignment with your core being. Your values are just like, it's the core things that drive you or that you embody and you want to share with others.
Yes, it's definitely important to be aligned with what you're doing. And it helps with all aspects of your personal life as well as your business, because we create these businesses so we can have the lifestyle that we want to have, the personal life that we want to have. But sometimes we get so focused in the business, we forget about everything else that's around it, the whole life that we're building, the whole legacy that we're building.
Yeah. And I, your legacy is important, but it's not just a financial legacy. It's like, it's your stamp. It's who you are. It's your brand. It's everything that you were sent here to put in the cauldron because
Yeah.
because it's needed. You are a certain piece of that puzzle that is the history of humanity, the story that it's important. What you're here for is important.
Definitely. And we all have a story. We all have a story to tell. And with me, when I help my clients as well, I help them if they want to put themselves out there on stage, they want to be on social media, is telling their story. And not just telling their story for the sake of telling it, but how is it going to help their clients? So who is going to relate to their story and know that they are the go-to person for them to help their own clients as well.
And helping other people see themselves in your story
Yes.
and and telling the story in a way that it's got it's got some challenges, and then you had an epiphany, and then this is what you did or tried, and whether it worked or not. I mean, sometimes in the story you can try some things and they don't work, but what you learn from them, and then the big climax, I did this and it was the eureka moment, and now I've got these amazing results.
Definitely. I've learned so much in my which I thought was perceived failures, but
Mhm.
they were the biggest lessons that I am so super grateful for now. But you don't see it at the time. When you're going through it, you don't see it at the time. But when you finally get to that light at the end of the tunnel and you look back on those challenges, the things that you learn, and it's so important that you take those learnings moving forward, and to not keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again.
But to remember them and to share them with others who are experiencing those setbacks right now, because
Yeah.
those are the people that they can see themselves in your story and they're like, okay, there's hope at the end of the tunnel, or there's
Yeah.
hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm mixing my metaphors here. So you wrote a book, um,
Yes.
Wings of Destiny. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's pretty much my journey. It talks about when I was working in travel and how I got into um, being an entrepreneur. And I've been through some adversity in my personal life as well, with some challenges which kind of overlapped into my professional life. And it's about going through those challenges and what you can take from those challenges. I was in an abusive relationship, and at the time, I thought there was no way out of it. Um, but you know, when you discover your own strength within you and the power that you have within you, and all the lessons and learnings that you've had from your past, and it's just teaching people that, how you can take all that adversity, all those challenges, and when you find that power within you, you can overcome so much and be your own success story. So yeah, that's why I decided to write the book, Wings of Destiny. And hopefully there'll be another one coming soon. It's in the process.
Very cool. Very cool. And as things change, we're always changing. It's fun to watch the adventure continue.
Yeah.
So you do offer some affirmation cards. Do you want to talk about those also?
Yeah, I created some affirmation cards, Elevate and Attract, they're called. And that is for coaches and consultants or any entrepreneurs who want to elevate their positioning, attract the right clients. And these affirmation cards give you that boost. And sometimes we do affirmations and we don't always believe them at the time. But when you continuously do affirmations and you start to see a change in yourself, you have that certainty to know that you've got that power within you to change your future. So I decided to create these affirmation cards to help others.
So let me ask you this, because I have my own thoughts on this, but what are your thoughts about affirmations? How do you think they work?
I think that when you are saying something that you don't particularly believe at the start, it's quite challenging at the beginning. But the thing is, when you start to say the affirmations, to start living those words that you're saying, they go into your unconscious mind. And I think it's so important what we put in our unconscious mind, the words that we say to ourselves, whether that be internally or we say it out loud. When we put those little nuggets into our unconscious mind, we start to live differently. We start to feel differently. We start to connect with the right people that should be in our lives. When I started doing affirmations, there were certain things that I would say the words, but I didn't feel it. But over time, I started to feel that it was part of me. And I feel that they're so important. And there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, I don't do affirmations. And I was one of those people. But since I started doing affirmations, those affirmations started to go into my unconscious mind. And, it just helped me in a lot of ways.
So would you say that perhaps they helped you shift the way that you were thinking about things? Like, we all have these loops that we run through our heads, but once you start taking your thoughts captive, once you start actually thinking about what you're thinking about, and when you start in those negative patterns, if you memorize some of these affirmations and you start drawing them in, or if you have them around, if you just like turn your eyes to the affirmation and let that run through your head on the loop rather than this negative thing, because we attract, we become aware of, is more, I think, accurate than we attract. We become more aware of the things that we think about. Like,
Yeah.
if you buy a new car, you didn't think about all the people that had that exact same car in that exact same color until you buy it, and then like everybody's got the same car.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed. It's just your perception has changed. And when you're running positive affirmations through your head rather than these other negative things, you start to see things. It's like, oh, that's where it's coming true. We want to validate our thoughts. We're always trying to validate our thoughts and our opinions. And so that's why I think affirmations work. I've seen it work a million times, and for myself included. It's like,
Yeah, it shuts out the negativity, it shuts out the noise. You're putting more positive things into your unconscious mind. And there, when you, like you said with the cars, when you see something, it comes into your conscious, in your conscious mind, your unconscious mind then triggers that affirmation, and you just feel more confident, more you start to believe that these affirmations are true because they're sitting in your unconscious mind. And it's very common to focus on the negative things. We can do 10 amazing things in a day. One thing will go wrong and we will focus on that one thing. But the more we pump our unconscious mind with the positives and the wins, the successes that we've had, the more of that will show up in our lives.
Yeah, and I think that's why gratitude is so important. And when you catch yourself, and it's really important to try to catch yourself when you're going down that negative path. If you've done 10 things that were great in the day and there was that one thing that you're focusing on, because we all do it. If you can catch yourself and say, "Hey, I'm doing this. Let me rewind this back and focus on the 10 things that I did well. I'm going to acknowledge that this didn't go the way I had planned. It's okay. We'll look at it another time when we're not so emotional about it. But I'm going to celebrate these 10 things that really did go well."
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's detaching yourself from that emotion and looking at it as, right, this has gone wrong. Let's have a look at this. Let's break it down into pieces, more manageable pieces, and let's deal with it without the emotion. It's when that emotion gets involved that, it can spiral out of control.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle had a talk he gave one time about emotions, and the takeaway for me is emotions are something that you can choose to have a reaction to. They're just thoughts, and you can choose to emote about it, or you can choose to just examine it and let it pass.
Yes.
If you choose to engage the emotion, you're going to release chemicals in your body that's going to cause your body to react. It's not just all in your head. This is like a whole body experience whenever you entertain emotions. And if you can't control this, your life is going to spiral out of control. One of the first things kids need to learn is how to control their emotions and to not just let their emotions rule them. It is something we do teach our kids, but maybe not in the best ways.
Yeah, definitely. It all comes down to, like you said, teaching our kids to control their emotions, and sometimes it's okay to you can have these emotions. You can, you have to sit with those emotions sometimes, and you have to process those emotions.
Mhm.
Because another thing that I had as a child, I had to repress a lot of emotions, but they come back. Until you deal with them, they keep coming back, and they always come back at the most inconvenient time as well.
Right? And it's not what I'm saying when I talk about examining the emotion and deciding what you want to do with it. It's not ignoring it, because ignoring it is, they
No.
don't go away. They just get stored in your organs and then cause problems later. But it's choosing to recognize the emotion and
Yeah.
to experience the emotion. I mean, there's times when it's perfectly acceptable to be angry about something. Anger is an emotion that we need to learn how to process, or
Yes.
grief, or happiness, or joy. And joy is different than happiness or ecstasy. I mean, we're not we don't normally just like think, okay, let me identify this emotion and let me experience it and in all of its glory. And if you can do that with an emotion, it's a much better experience, honestly, rather than just letting it explode out of nowhere
Yeah,
in an
yeah,
inappropriate time.
yeah, 100%. I find that, that you said you have this feeling of anger, someone's upset you, but it's stopping and thinking, what was the trigger? behind that, because normally it's not. You have silly little arguments sometimes. You have an argument with your partner about them. They've used up the milk and they've put it back in the fridge, put the bottle back in the fridge. But it's not that that's annoyed you. Maybe it's something else that they haven't. It's deeper than that. They haven't listened to you. They haven't understood what you've said, and then it becomes such a bigger argument, and it was all over a bottle of milk. And it's
But
stepping back.
yeah, it's more than the bottle of milk. And sometimes it's because you feel like you're a victim. Like,
Yeah.
instead of empowering yourself to be the hero of your own story and being able to say, hey, we've talked about this before. When you do this, it causes this in my life. I don't think I need to buy milk because I think there's still milk in the fridge. I just went to the store. It causes me to feel frustrated. Or sometimes, hey, I feel like the victim here. I'm going to be mad for a minute. Understand that I'm feeling like a victim. I will step into my power here in just a minute, but for 5 minutes, you're going to listen to me being a victim because you left that empty carton in the fridge. At least that's how we process things at my house.
Yeah. But so that's the thing. Sometimes we just have to, think about, hold on a sec, right? This is what's happened. What was the real trigger here? Let's deal with that. Let's deal with that emotion and let it go and release it rather than holding on to those negative emotions.
Yeah. So this has been an amazing conversation. And it went in some directions I didn't really even expect. So how can people get in touch with you, Corinna?
So I am on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook. I have a link tree that I will pass to you as well, which it's all connected. It's all on there anyway. It's Corinna Stringer Official on social media. So yeah.
Okay, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes so people can reach out to you and get your affirmation cards, because I think those are pretty amazing. And we'll also put the link to find your book, which is on Amazon for sale.
Yes,
And is there the one last thing you want to leave the audience with? You hope they take away from the conversation?
So I just want to say that, whatever's happened in your past, whatever your perceived failures have been, there's always been a lesson and a learning in that. And you should always remember to believe in your wings and fly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.